Well, clearly they've got the meeting coming up, and Trump last met Xi in 2019, and the 90-day truce on the tariffs is going to expire in November. And U.S. lawmakers on Tuesday were threatening further export controls on chip-making components to China. This is Xi basically using the leverage that they have, being the #1 exporter of rare earths, the U.S. being the #1 importer of rare earths, which is key to the AI industry, to the defense industry. It's key to electric vehicles. And so Xi has basically said, we've got a lot of leverage here, and we know Trump responds to leverage, so they're going to sit down, they're going to negotiate, and I think they will find a solution to this because they need each other.
Nora Lee, I mean, at the same time in this country, we're having a very strange and curious briefing debate about China, its relationship with Britain. The US president is calling it very hostile and saying that the world is becoming captive to Beijing. It's a remarkable split between the United Kingdom and Washington on this issue.
Well, it is very hostile because, as we know, rare earths are key to the military. And clearly we've got the conflict going on between Russia and the Ukraine. Russia, India and China had their summit in Singapore, and they're cooperating, in Shanghai, actually. They are cooperating. So they're showing a united front. But what we see is we live in a world where we are codependent. And for any progress we're going to be making in AI, with defense, with electric batteries, we are dependent on China. And China's trying to slow us down in the U.S. by announcing that they could limit or control the export of rare earths, because then they can actually work on building up their military if we don't have the components we need.
I mean, Donald Trump has been a very busy man this weekend, hasn't he? Because he has managed to get this deal apparently over the line between Israel and Hamas, and then he was snubbed for the Nobel Peace Prize. How do you think he's feeling about that in the White House now?
Donald Trump is a positive man. He is somebody who's going to feel very proud that he accomplished what most said was impossible. Yes, he will feel snubbed, but the whole world is recognizing that Donald Trump is a man of action. And only Donald Trump, I think, could make this happen.
It's clear the Arab powers respect him
100%.
Specifically, whereas perhaps before, there's some reporting coming out over the weekend about how Joe Biden perhaps had the opportunity to do this, didn't take it, was a bit weak with Benjamin Netanyahu and the other powers in the region. It's clear that those in Riyadh, in Amman, in Jordan as well, of course, they look at President Trump, and I think they're sort of petrified of him, right?
No, they see a man who is a deal maker, ultimately. Trump has always said he wants everybody to prosper. He wants everybody to be treated fairly. And so it's an opportunity to focus on the positive here and how peace and justice can lead to prosperity for all in the region.
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has his detractors. He's a Marmite figure, a little bit like Boris Johnson. If this peace deal does hold, at least for the time being, do you think those detractors will quieten down a little bit, or will the haters hate?
I think, as you say, if you don't like Marmite, you're never going to like it. So the haters will always hate, but history will never forget. If this peace deal does hold, history will never forget, and all of our children will forever remember that Donald Trump was the man who changed the Middle East.
Yeah, after the war ended in the Western Balkans, we saw lots of children in Kosovo being called Tony Blair. Do you think perhaps there could be some Arab children named after Donald Trump as a consequence of this peace deal?
I think that's a funny thought. I'm not sure that it would happen, but I think, Trump will go down as the man who changed the Middle East.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keep sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Absolutely. There's no way possible that this could have moved forward without the backing of U.S. President Donald Trump. He is the only man on earth that could have brought Benjamin Netanyahu to the table. And we've seen that over the last several months that he's had to take a much firmer hand when it comes to dealing with Mr. Netanyahu. And this is even going against, at times, people in his own party who are incredibly pro-Zionist, pro-Israel, et cetera, who've said, you know, you can't stop them until they've flattened Gaza. I mean, that is something that the president has to combat in his own party. So, again, this is a deal that couldn't have happened without the president. And then you have to take a step back and look at all the other people that weighed in on this. And this still couldn't have been at all had not Arab leaders from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, UAE gotten behind it as well.
Well, Donald Trump, as you say, did something which possibly no other US president could possibly have done here. And yet he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. Why is that? Has it been politicized? Of
course it has. This is an organization that gave a peace prize to US President Barack Obama when he hadn't even taken office yet. I mean, you can't take anything.
Acceptance speech.
Listen, you can't take those people seriously. The lady who accepted it essentially called the president and said, I should be giving this to you. I'm sure he would have taken it. But you have to take a step back and think about, you know, this is sort of a bigger picture narrative, right? This is a president. You cannot accuse him of being all talk and no action, right? I mean, he's doing something every single day, very much unlike his predecessor. And he's talking about it every single day. I mean, just look at the above the fold of every U.S. newspaper. Usually all those stories are dominated by what the president is doing.
There's not going to be questions, aren't there, about what happened to Gaza, who's going to be in charge. You have a relative of Yasser Arafat saying Tony Blair can't be anywhere close to that procedure. Obviously, I think a lot of Arab states are expected to step in, Saudi Arabia, perhaps Jordan as well.
Well, it will be their money, but not necessarily their boots on the ground, right? Because there is an element of this where there'll have to be some kind of peacekeeping force. And the Arab leaders that I speak to, you know, coming from Saudi Arabia, from Jordan, et cetera, have made it quite clear that those are not going to be their boots on the ground. And probably that makes a lot of sense, right? We don't need more strife in the region, and I think they're thinking in that vein. They certainly will commit resources to rebuilding Gaza. And I think that the socioeconomic question is a huge one. Also, of course, Hamas. How are they going to disarm them? I mean, this is an organization.
Exactly. Are we not counting our chickens a little bit soon here?
Well, exactly. I mean, the devil will be in the details, as it always is, et cetera. But, you know, again, this is the opportunity now for these international organizations that seem to have done absolutely nothing in 2 years, like the United Nations, to step in and show us what they can do.
And is there any kind of plan for disarming Hamas? Because surely that, you know, if there's still weapons on the
details.
streets, then...
This is a big question, because it's not just in terms of what are they if they're disarmed? I mean, they are an armed militant group, right? So what does Hamas become in its second iteration? Who's going to govern Gaza? I mean, these are huge questions, right? And to the point of Tony Blair, when I was sitting with Arab leaders just a week ago in Saudi Arabia, you know, I asked, you know, really, Tony Blair? And they said, listen, if President Trump wants him, let him have him. You know, it's the least we can do. We got to this point. We got this ceasefire, and this is what we've all been asking for all of this time. So,
and with Jared Kushner, the man who read 25 books on this issue and then was said to sort of overnight suddenly understand how to solve the crisis in the Middle East, he did a great job before, did he not?
He did.
Could he play a significant role?
And that agreement has still held, despite
indeed.
the relentless bombardment of Gaza. That the Abraham Accords is still held. We know that he's in conversations with these guys. We know that he deals with Mr. Netanyahu, that he speaks to Arab leaders. Because remember, this is also a businessman who is, you know, essentially going out and asking for money from the sovereign wealth funds, Saudi, UAE, et cetera. So he's in bed with them both politically and financially.
I mean, this is a...
But is that a bad thing when you can move the dial so significantly? I mean, let's just ask that question.
Because this is, I mean, a very, very uphill to climb, isn't it? Because obviously people in Gaza were raised to not like Israel in the first place. They've now seen their city destroyed. There's not going to be much of an economy in Gaza while it's all being rebuilt. So there's going to be a lot of people sitting around without jobs to go to, already very resentful of Israel. You can imagine fighting breaking out.
They have a very, very good reason.
Like
they have a very good reason to be resentful of Israel. I want to put that out there, especially 2 years after this relentless bombardment that has killed thousands of people. However, you have to take a step back and think, what are they going to be provided for, as you say, in terms of a living going forward? And that is going to have to be up to regional leaders just as much as it is as the United States. They're going to have a major onus of this.
Are you concerned that they're perhaps not going to be resentful of Hamas, the group that started this war, and then also is using their bodies as protection, and then broadcasting their death to
which
aid
again
their international
is going
campaign?
to go back to the question of how are they going to disarm Hamas, because Hamas will be very fearful, no doubt, for their own lives, because they are the ones that people there are so angry with because they started this, right? So the question of how you're going to police this, how you're going to keep that place secure, so people can begin to rebuild their lives is still the outstanding question. But I want to make a major point in saying getting to this ceasefire was something that no one on earth could have done except for U.S. President Donald Trump, and he did it.